Hi creators, welcome back to Academic Phoenix Plus. My name is Monica and I am your guide through isometric modeling. In this video tutorial, we're going to cover how to build a cute cat cafe, but instead of a regular realistic one, I'm going to make it more stylized and also isometric. It's going to be a jam-packed tutorial, so let's go ahead and get started. But first, if you're new to this channel, I post tutorials on a weekly basis. Software includes Maya, ZBrush, Substance Painter, and so much more. So if that is your sort of thing, please consider subscribing. So bring out that creativity, open up that software, and let's go ahead and get started in modeling this 3D isometric cat cafe in Maya. All right, almighty Maya, let's go ahead and get started. Here we have our scene and we are going to turn on our resolution gate right here by clicking on this button, and you can see that our resolution gate is 960 by 540. Let's go ahead and change that into a square. We're going to go to our render settings up here at the top right. Looks like a clapper with a gear. Then we're going to scroll down. We're going to make sure this maintain with aspect ratio is off, and then you can go in here and you can pick one. So right now we have like a 1K, 2K square. I'm going to choose 1K for now, and I can always increase it later. So you can see that it's 1024 by 1024. Next, we're going to create a simple cube. Let's go ahead and grab that cube, press R, scale it uniformly by grabbing the one in the center, press W to lift. And let's go ahead and focus by pressing F. So now we're directly focusing on here. Let's go to faces, right click and hold face. Let's select this side face, this other face, and this other face. And now we have the inside of our space. However, you can tell that it's really black. And if we go to the other side, you can see that that's correct. That's the way we want it to look like. Now I do want to separate my wall from my floor. So I'm going to select that bottom face and let's go to Edit Mesh Extract. There we go. Now they're separated, and we can go ahead and grab that face and extrude, Control E, and that's going to give us some thickness, which gives us the start of our floor. Next, we're going to do the same thing to our wall. We're going to select our wall. We're going to extrude, Control E, just grab that blue one, and then you can pull it out a little bit. As you can see, it pulled it in a kind of like a funny way. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my vertexes and grab these guys and just going to scale it flat. Then go ahead and grab these on the side. Press R for scale and just scale it flat like this. And there we go. We now have a wall and a floor. I'm going to go ahead and grab this floor and just move it up a little bit. Now I am working in perspective view, so I would like to actually create a camera that is an orthographic view, and I'm going to show you how. Let's go to create camera. Let's go ahead and look through selected. So panel, look through selected, and we're looking through our new camera. I'm going to label this my render camera. So render camera. So I know exactly what it is. You might want to turn on your resolution gate if you choose to. There we go. A nice 1K square. Now you could eyeball it if you like to, but what I would suggest is you go into your camera. So select your camera either in the outliner or just select this button right here, which is a camera. And I would just type in the value, -45 in the rotate X, and then a rotate Y is going to be 35. And then just place it. And that's going to give you basically the angle that we need for the orthographic view. Now we're going to zoom in here just so we can make sure it's nice and placed. Now if you're not happy with the angle, maybe you want it to go a little bit more like this, you're more than welcome to. Next, select your camera, Control A, and then we're going to scroll down all the way down to Arnold. And you can see that our camera type right now is perspective. Pull down menu, there is an orthographic view, and that actually is what gives it the orthographic feel. So let's go ahead and place it in here. Let's create a light, Arnold Lights, Physical Sky. And now if we render, with basically the orthographic look view. Now I really can't work in this angle, so I'm going to be hopping back into perspective a lot. All right, so that's basically the base here. Let's go ahead and get started in the actual modeling itself. So we're gonna be creating a window. So to create a window, we can grab this piece and drag it in. I want to make it a pretty nice size window here. Click once, click twice, and I'm going to use the fancy Boolean, the difference between A and B. And there you go. Now what's nice about this is that the Boolean is live, so that means that if I'm not happy with the location or if I need to make it larger, longer, or anything like that, I can do it on the fly, which is exactly what I'm doing. Next, I'm going to go ahead and create some flooring because I feel like a flat floor is a little bit boring. So what I'm going to do is grab a cube, lift it up, scale it, make it skinnier, place it in like so. Make it a little skinnier. I'm going to duplicate it, Control D, and for this one I want to have a curved edge. Now I could do it myself, but there's also this fancy thing called beveling, which is what I want to use. So I'm going to grab that edge, I'm going to do a Control B, and you can see that it gives me a bevel. So I'm going to give myself a couple more bands and elect that corner already. So that looks good. That's the one I'm going to use. Go ahead and make it a little skinnier. I'm going to make this one a little skinnier too. And I'm going to jump to the top view. And you can see that's a little hard to see. So let's turn on the wireframe unshaded, which is up here. Then I can see, I can give myself the gaps that I need. I'm going to duplicate this one, Control D. Move it. Then I'm going to grab this one. Maybe elongate it. Elongate this one. Control D as well. And then I'm going to grab this and just scale it on the opposite end. Right, so I get something like this. I can place it here. Then I can duplicate this one. Place it here, and I'm actually going to extend beyond my environment. So just going to go ahead and grab it like so. Grab these vertices and make sure they're in the wall. There we go. Let me go ahead and duplicate this one as well. Bring it down. And one more, like so. Now for the rest, I'm just gonna go ahead and grab these guys here, duplicate it, and I'm gonna place it in here. Yeah, grab them all, try to scale them a little bit more evenly distributed, and then eyeball it. Duplicate this one, and then start moving some around. All right, that's what I have so far. And to be fair, I probably don't need this, so I'm going to just grab the base just to make sure it feels like there's a step. I'm just going to scoot this in here like so. All right, so that's what I have so far. And for this one, I might grab the face and move it in a little bit. And of course, I have all of these extra vertices, which I don't need, or they're sticking out, and you know, I might as well just go ahead and make sure everything fits well. Cool. I might actually grab these just a little bit and scoot them up a little bit. Here we go. Ta-da! So we can take a look at it. Now you're going to see that my camera is not in panels perspective. Usually that's where I go. It's panels, orthographic view. There's my render cam. Let's take a render. There we go. All right, back to perspective. Now I have done some work and I haven't saved, but I haven't created a project either. So let's go to File, Project Window, New. I have a folder dedicated to all my 3D projects. So this is going to be my Isometric Café. Accept. File Save or Control S. It should be in the Isometric Café scenes, which is exactly correct. Version 1. All right, cool. Next, let's start placing some objects. So I'm going to grab a cube and create my coffee bar. Now, the thing about isometrics is that you can make them very stylized and they have to be really chunky. So we're definitely going to go for a chunky look. So let's go ahead and place that in there. And I am going to bevel. Control B. Let's go ahead and increase our segments to 2, but my bevel doesn't have to be that big. And by the way, if you select the word fraction, you can middle mouse and drag. Right? You can type it in, whatever you like. So I'm going to do like a 0.2. Maybe a 0.1 might be better. There we go. I'm going to grab another cube. Let's go ahead and crush it. This is going to be the top of the bar. Now the reality is I don't need this top face. So if you want to, just go ahead and delete it. And to be fair, I'm also, and I'm going to isolate select, I'm not going to need these faces either. Unless I plan to animate it. So if you're planning to animate, which I'm thinking about doing, like actually animate everything popping in and out, I'll just leave it as is. All right, let's go ahead and bring this in. Might be easier if I just go into orthographic view here, and if you want, you can just go to vertices and move them, or you can scale them. There's no right or wrong, totally up to you. I just feel like I have a little bit more control if I do it this way. Now I do want to bevel it, but I really want a big angle here, so I'm going to select these two. I'm going to do a Control B, and same thing, I'm going to go ahead and give myself plenty of edges. And then once I'm done with that, you can select all of these, and then don't forget to deselect and a focus here, and hold down Control and deselect these, because I only want is the top. I don't need every single edge to be beveled. I just want the top and bottom edges to be beveled. So Control B, increase your segments, reduce your fraction, and now I have a nice rounded bar. Go ahead and move it in, place it down, and that looks all right. Trying to make it look a little cozy. Next, let's work on the table and chair. We're going to go ahead and grab a cube, crush it. Let's go ahead and grab this corner edges. I also want these to be nice and rounded. So select those corners, Control B, increase your segments. If you want to, you can play around with the fraction. This should be small. It's going to be the base of the table. Then we can grab the face, extrude, Control E, bring it in. Now this is going to be a circle, so there is a fancy button called the square to circle. Click on that, and that's going to give us a circle, which is great. Got all of these handy tools. Control E and lift. Right, press on number 3 and see what it looks like. Not so hot. So we're going to shift right click, insert edge loop tool, or the long way is mesh tools, insert edge loop. Here, same thing. I'm just going to go in and provide some supporting edges here, as well as some supporting edges here. Right? And you can see that these are not doing so well, so let's go ahead and bevel those. Control B, and then go ahead and reduce it. So that should look a lot better. I'm going to isolate select this real fast because this part's bothering me. So Control E, bring it in. It is an n-gon, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. Now again, if I am animating this, I either have to make sure that I don't show the bottom or fix the bottom. So just be aware. Another cube, bring it in. I'm going to show you a trick. I always like this trick. If you hold down V, middle mouse, and snap, V, hold down middle mouse, you can drag it into place. So if you have like a huge forest that you need to move things around, V, hold down V for vertex, middle mouse, and drag. Don't click. V, drag. And then it'll snap on vertices. It's a fancy move. I like it. All right, let's see. Let's go ahead and scale this. It doesn't land exactly perfectly in the center, but it just makes it easier to place. All right, here we go. So same story with this one. Let's go ahead and grab those edges. Control B, increase your segments, scale it in. Double click, Control B for beveling. How cute is that? All right, let's grab this one. Control E, press R to scale. Same thing here. Control B, increase your segments, decrease the fraction. And there we go. We have our fancy schmancy. I feel like this needs to be bigger. Get those n-gons. Shame on me. And I feel this one should be skinnier. Hold down Control and scale, and it will scale in all directions but the one you're grabbing, which is nice. All right, here we go. Getting started. Let's take a look at our orthographic view render camera. Let's zoom in here and render. Ta-da! It's coming along. I feel like everything looks a little small, so let me go back into my perspective, and I might bring this up, make this a little bigger, and bring this up as well. Then let's go to 2 panels, orthographic view, and I feel like this one's also really small, so I'm going to select these 2, group them together. I'm going to call it my group at table. Let's center that pivot by clicking up here, and now we can scale it and lift. Move it to the side so it actually is in the Café, and I think that's good. Well, I feel like we need to make sure it looks like a cafe, so let's go ahead and I'm going to show you another fancy trick. Another one of my personal favorite tricks is to go into the side view, and I am going to go to create curves, EP curve tool. And this is a fast way of making like dishes and stuff. So for example, I'm going to go ahead and create a plate, but just by creating like a kind of like a half version of the plate. So it's like an outline. Now it's a little cubic. So let me check my settings. Let's go to create curve tools, EP curve tool options. And I'm going to reset. Yeah, it should be in cubic. Okay. And I'm going to hide the preview of the light. So if you go to show view lights, the light is still there. I want to see a little bit of a grayscale. I'm more comfortable that way. And I like to start right here. Can you see how there's a little grid? There's little lines, and this is like the origin. So it just makes it a little bit easier when I revolve. So I'm going to go in and create this little outline of a plate. It's not a fancy plate or anything. That looks a little wiggly. Let me go to Control Vertex. Right click Control Vertex and grab these and squish them. You can still make some adjustments if you need to. Let's see how it looks like. Let me center that pivot, but it's based on the pivot when I revolve it. So click on D and move that pivot point to the origin, or basically at the edge of your plate. The fastest way is going into surfaces and just clicking on this, and you can see that I immediately get a plate, but the long way is under surfaces, and then you have revolve, which is what I just did. Now you can see that's going the wrong way. So I'm going to go to surfaces, reverse direction, and that gives me a gray plate, which is what I want. But we could keep it like this, but I want to use polygons. I'm going to go to Modify, Convert, NURBS to Polygons Options, and make sure Control Point is selected, Tessellate. And I know it doesn't look very good. And that's okay, because if I press the number 3, it looks just fine. Right? So there we go. So let me delete the history of future transformations, and you guys can hide these if you want to in case you needed them again. But that is how I can quickly create a plate. Now I had to explain every step to you guys, and if I don't explain it, I can do that in like seconds, right? But when it comes to explanation, which is the whole point of this tutorial, is to kind of show you guys all the cool things that you can do. So there we go. Really fast, I created a little saucer plate. Okay, I'm going to do something similar to create the mug. Again, I'm going to go to the side view. I'm going to go to create curve, EP curve tool. And I'm just going to go in and create a cup. Control Vertex. I like to get these at the origin. You want to, whoops, you might want to grab some of these and just crush the bottom to make sure, they're straight. And then you can make any adjustments that you need. Wait, there we go. Center that pivot, hit the letter D and move that pivot point to the curve. Then we're going to do the same thing. We can go to surfaces, revolve, whoop, and there it is. Center the pivot. We can go to surfaces, reverse. It's still being influenced by this guy right here. So if I want to, I can make some adjustments, right? I can make all sorts of adjustments, which is kind of fun. For example, maybe I want this to be a little bigger. I want it to look more like a mug, so maybe less curved here. It looks more like tea. Let me move this out a little more. And that's the fun thing about it. All right, let's go to Modify, Convert, NURBS to Polygons. There it is. Now I know it doesn't look great, but again, if I press the number 3, it works. Let me center the pivot. I do want to create a handle. So another way I can do this is go to Mesh Smooth. There we go. And I do want to delete the history because I would like to continue using this curve for something else. Like maybe I want to make a planter, right? So for example, maybe I want this to be a little bigger and maybe out a little more. I can still make some changes, for example. Oop, my mistake is not doing it in the side view because I'm like, why is it starting to twist, right? So that was my mistake. So let me grab all of these and then I'm going to scale them flat. There we go. And you always want to make sure you're making changes in some sort of view. Okay, I'm going to go in and just kind of make some additional changes. I can also make some changes here. There we go. So now that I have this, I can go ahead and do the same thing. I can go to modify, convert, NURBS to polygons. I can go to mesh smooth, center that pivot. I'm going to delete the history, all that stuff. And this could be, let's say, like a planter over here. And then I can hide this one for now. Control H, Control H. Then this is going to be my cup. Again, V, middle mouse and snap. Then I can focus and place it. All right, let's make this into a mug. Well, make sure that plate is actually on the surface, and I'm going to create another fancy curve. So create curve, EP curve tool, and I'm going to go ahead and create a handle. Center. You can make adjustments with the control vertex. So if you need this to be bigger, longer, more curved, whatever you like. And you can see that it's not on the cup, so let's center that pivot. We're going to move this here. Right, and I want to make sure this face, for example, is right next to that curve, which it kind of is, but I'm going to move this over here in the center because I want to grab these two faces. Shift select that one, Control E, which is extrude. Give yourself plenty of divisions. Right, and I'm thinking that's a little too thick for a mug. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like that's artistic. Okay, that's too much. So let me grab, instead, I'm going to scoot this over and just grab one face. Select one face, shift select this one, the curve, Control E, increase your divisions. That's much better. What we need is to make sure that this one down here merges with that one. And I'm a little close, that's why it's starting to, but I need to get close. So delete that one, delete this face, and now we can go to Mesh Tools, Target Weld, and I'm going to merge this weld with that one, this vertex with that one. I get it just right. This one with this one, and then this one with this one, and now they're merged. Right, so now if I go to number 3, which is Smooth Preview, you can see that I now have a mug. All right, let's take a look at our orthographic view render cam. And I'm just going to rotate this to make sure we can actually see it. And let's see what it looks like. Let me zoom out here. Ta-da! It's starting to look like a coffee shop. Though I feel like this is too small. So let me grab these two. Oops. Let me grab this one, which I'm going to call it the coffee cup. It's time to start labeling plate. Select these two, group them together, Control G, center the pivot, and make it a little bigger. All right, let's see what that looks like. And that is looking pretty nice. So in the next video tutorial, I'm going to continue working on this. I'm going to keep adding more and more assets to this, including a sign, including windowsills, and so much more. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Hopefully you learned a thing or two. If you did, please like and subscribe. That's your message to me, letting me know that you like this content and that you want to see more. It also helps my YouTube channel and to reach other artists just like you. Don't forget to share my videos. If you know of an artist out there that would like to learn how to create 3D isometric renders in Maya, please share my videos. That would be amazing. That would also help me out a lot. Don't forget to comment. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Do you like this content? Do you want to see more? Let me know by leaving a comment below. And finally, take a look at academic-phoenix-plus.com. There you can find free video, free resources, ebooks, and so much more. So take a look at academic-phoenix-plus.com. Again, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Keep creating, and I will see you next time in the next video tutorial as we continue working on this Cat Cafe isometric 3D render. It's a mouthful. All right, see you next time.